our Halloween trio character set. So the first thing I like to do before I start painting is lay out all my supplies. So I have all 3 of my characters right here. This green applicator, I'm gonna put that to the side because we won't use that till the end. I've got all 4 of my wedges, my tweezers I'll put over by the applicator, my paint I have set up at the very top, and then your super glue. That's gonna be for your mom or dad at the very end. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my white paint. So let's take our ghost body. So I'm gonna take these pieces, I'm gonna put this down. Oh, before I forget, you need to either open up your box and lay it down on your table or go get some newspaper or something to protect your surface so you don't get paint everywhere. So let's do our ghost first. So I'm going to take the eyes and the letters and I'm going to put those at the very top because we're going to do those last. And the mummy's eyes. So just these 2 little circles. Those are my white pieces. I'm going to take a large wedge so you can see how there are 2 different sizes. Get the large one, and then to paint, all we're gonna do is we're gonna dip the corner into the white paint, and then we're gonna dab it off onto our box. That's why you need to lay that out, because you don't want a bunch of paint on there, because when you go to paint, it's going to drip everywhere. So, and then all you do is dab up and down. So dip, get off the extra, and dab up and down. And we're probably, especially with white, because it's so light and it doesn't, or you can see the wood through it, you probably want to do this twice. And you want to just do really light coats because then it dries really fast, but also it doesn't drip everywhere. So if you do it like this, you can save your extra paint for later if you have another project that you want to paint, or if you just want to have extra craft supplies. But if you decide not to do that, you can always close all the other lids and then you can spill your white paint out here if you just want it all outside of the container, because with these large wedges it's kind of hard to get towards the bottom. Okay, so since I did such a light coat, I should have shown you, mine is already dry because I just did little dabs on it. So I'm doing it again. If yours is wet, then just push pause on the video, and as soon as it's dry, come back and do your second coat until you get it completely covered. I can't believe Halloween is already this week. This month has gone by so fast. I wish I could see all of your costumes. My nephew Parker came over this weekend and I got to see his costume, and it was really creative and so much fun. Okay, now that I'm done with my ghost, I'm going to paint the mummy's eyes. So you can either hold it down, but since these are kind of small pieces, that's where you're going to use your tweezers. Make sure that you save these for other projects. Don't throw them away when you're done. So what you're going to do is you're just going to open the tweezers, and then you're just going to kind of squeeze down on this piece of wood. And you don't want to pick it up. It's just to hold it down while you paint. So see how I'm pressing down on it with this hand? And with this one, oops. This one, I'm just going to dab up and down, and then I'm going to move that. And then as soon as it's dry, it might take just a couple of seconds, just because these are such small pieces, we're gonna do it again. So dab up and down, and then just really light coats up and down. Move that over to the side. Okay, so now our white is done. So I'm going to close my white paint, and I'm going to put this wedge over to the side, and make sure you keep those painted pieces off to the side so we don't spill them. The next thing I'm going to do is let's do our pumpkin, which is orange. So I'm going to take his letters and his face and put that over to the side. And let's get our last big wedge, and the same technique. You're just going to dip it in, dab onto the side. And you don't need to paint the stem because we're going to paint that brown. So do you see how I just kind of went around it? If you forget and you do paint the stem, it's okay. The brown will cover it. And just really, really light coats up and down. This is a really fun set because you can do two different things. You can either glue them together, so it's just one big set, or you can display them all separate so that you can have 3 different decorations for Halloween that you made. Halloween is my favorite holiday. I think it's so much fun. And who doesn't like candy, right? Okay, so as you can see, this needs to be done one more time because you can still see the wood coming through. So I'm going to just keep doing the same technique. How many of you love arts and crafts? I think it is one of the best ways to show your creativity and to spend your free time. Okay, I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to leave my orange paint open because you know what? My eyes are dry. So let's pull our mummy's eyes. If yours are dry, if they're still wet, then don't do this step yet. But I want my mummy's eyes to be orange. If you want to paint them black or brown, you can do that. But all you're going to do is you're going to get this green applicator and you're going to dip it into the orange just like that. And then you're just going to draw a little circle. Or not draw, just paint a little circle, however big you want. And then on this second eye, you want to kind of match the size. Unless you want them to look really crazy, then you can do different sizes. That would be silly. I would like to see that. That would be really funny. So you just want it to look somewhat similar, and then that's done with the eyes. So now I'm going to close my orange and let's go to brown so we can finish up the pumpkin. So this one is going to take a small wedge and it's going to go really fast. All you need to do is dip, dab, and then up and down. And then your pumpkin is finished. Now, let's go to the mummy. So the mummy is pretty much already done because I cut yours out of darker wood than this so that he would be kind of natural. So there are 5 pieces of like his strips, his mummy rags. So there are 3 that are pretty long and then 2 that are much shorter. The 2 that are shorter, they are for his head. So let me pause because I need to go and grab a pencil. Ask your mom if she can help you with this next step. Go get a pencil and then you can unpause. Okay, once you have your pencil, you're gonna take the 2 strips. Now this it's kind of like a puzzle. So remember, if it's not matching up, you might have to flip it to the other sides until it does. So one trick is one strip is gonna run from his neck up. So take one of the strips and line it up at the bottom of his neck until it hits the edge of his head. And then that is where, if you can see how it's even with both sides of his head where you can't see it. On the other side, it doesn't overlap. And then the other strip goes on the top of the head and it goes down towards, like that. Since I can't glue it down, I can't lift it up all the way. So have your mom or dad help you with figuring out where these strips should go. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the bottom strip and take this pencil and make a line. Then hold down where that top strip was supposed to go. I bumped mine. Hold it down and make a line right here. So what that tells me, what can you see? I don't know if you can see because the light is hitting it. What these pencil marks tell me, that part needs to be covered in black. So I'm going to take my little wedge, dip it in the black, up and down, and then I'm going to carefully go a little bit over that pencil line. So my pencil line is right here. I'm going to paint higher than that. Not by a lot, but just enough so that when I put my strip down, it covers it. And so when you get towards the edge where it's just a little space, you need to use the very, very edge of your wedge. Do you see how I'm doing that? Like this. I'm going to tip. I'm trying to see if you can see. I'm tipping my wedge up and I'm just using the very edge, just like that. And then I'm going to turn it around and do the same thing. Make that line and come back and fill it in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for this to dry. Then I'm going to put my strips back down and make sure that it's completely covered. And then if there's a little spot that's not, then that's okay. Just add some more paint. So I'm going to put him to the side while he dries. And we're going to paint our pumpkin faces, the ghost eyes, and all of the letters. So let's get our pumpkin face, our eyes, and then we'll do our letters last. So with the pumpkin mouth, since it's big enough, I'm just going to hold it down with my fingers. And this is the same technique. You just dab and then up and down, up and down. And if I'm going too fast, just pause my video. You finish the piece and then come back and push play, okay? Don't feel like you have to be in a rush. And so with the eyes, same thing. And I like to get mine all the way out of the way when they're done painting so I don't accidentally spill something on them. Up. The ghost eyes are next. That's what these long oval pieces are. Okay, so now that this is dry, I'm going to lay out my strips again to make sure. Okay, so I laid them down, and as you can see, it's completely covered. There isn't any wood showing through, so that mummy is done. So I'm going to set it aside for gluing at the end. Okay, now the letters. Since these are so small, the best thing to do is going to be to hold it down with your tweezers like this so you don't get paint all over your fingers. and then just dab up and down. And then I'm gonna move that to the side. And then we're just gonna repeat this process like 15 or 20 times, however many letters there are. But it goes pretty quick because they're just little. Make sure that you're painting the right side of the letters. So you might want to ask your mom to help you out. What I do is I can tell the difference because the back side, some of them have a little bit of a burn mark. But if it makes it easier, then what you can do is, so for instance, because I already painted some of those, spooky, you can lay them out like this, and you're like, that K, something looks different about it. It's because that is upside down. And then the Y. So now you can go through and just grab a letter like this and paint. Now that it's already laid out, you know which side to do. Does that make sense? If not, ask your mom to lay the letters out and she'll help you. She'll help you make sure that you're painting the right side. And if you paint the wrong side, that's okay. You can just flip it around and paint the other side. It won't hurt it at all. Tap up and down, up and down. I like to keep my letters organized because it makes it, like in their words, because it makes it a little bit easier at the end so you're not searching for certain letters. And you can glue them down. I had mine, you can either follow my picture on where to put, one says creepy, one says scary, one says spooky. You can follow the picture, or you can put them on different pieces if you prefer. That's okay too. Okay. And now we just have scary left. Okay, I'm gonna lay it out so I make sure. And just remember to not use too much paint. Otherwise it's gonna drip down and it's gonna take a really long time to dry. And the black paint usually covers really easy. Okay, I'm gonna put everything up at the top. Now, if you still have wet pieces, now is the time to press pause on this video and wait until everything is dry. You don't want to glue things down until everything is dry. You can go and ask your mom to help you rinse out your supplies if you want to use them again. If not, you can throw them away. So I'm going to push pause so I can go rinse out my things. And then I'm going to let all the letters dry completely, and then we'll come back and glue everything together. Okay, are you ready to start gluing? Is this, I guess it's going, I had to make sure. Okay, let's do our ghost first. So let's get his eyes, and then I did spooky. So since I kept all my letters together, it's easy to grab them. So before you glue anything down on all three of these pieces, you want to lay it down first so you can kind of get the spacing and know where you want everything to go. So your mom needs to be helping you with this, okay? Or an adult or an older sibling. So get the eye, and a little bit of super glue goes a really long ways. So I'm just gonna put a little bit right in the middle and then set it down. And set that down. Okay. And then as far as the letters, the easiest thing for me instead of, you can hold them if you have a really steady hand. The easiest thing for me is to put a little bit of super glue down on my box, and then I just dip like that, and then dip the excess off, and then set it down. I still tend to get super glue on my fingers every now and then, but it cuts it down a lot. Okay. And then we have our ghost is done. Now let's do our pumpkin. So we need his face, and you can be a little creative with his face. This is how I did mine, or you can even have his eyes going this way or pointing in like that. He can be a little bit of a mad pumpkin if you wanted. So you do the kind of face that you want. You can be creative. And then I had him say scary. So I'm going to get those letters and line them out. So I make sure that I have room. Oops. Okay. And same thing, I'm just going to put a little right there right in the middle of his eye. Just a little dot. And then his mouth, I'm just going to kind of do like a little smile. Dip and dip. If I don't explain things very well and you have questions, or if you can't see, I need to get a better setup so that it's like right above my workstation. I say that every month, and then the month flies by and I don't get anything. So if you need a better explanation or a step shown in more detail, let me know and I'd be happy to do that. So now our pumpkin is done. Now the mummy. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out our strips. So this might take a little finagling. So you want to make sure that, like, generally speaking, the back side will have, I don't know if you can see or if the sun is blurring it out, but it has these little teeny tiny burn marks, just a little bit from the laser. But sometimes that shows up on the front too. So that's not a fail safe, but it helps. So the two smaller strips are going to go for the head. Charlie, no. He sees a dog walking by. So lay them out. And I said use the picture as a guide. And again, if you need a more detailed picture, then let me know. So you just kind of move it around until it touches the edge. The bottom strip runs from his neck up and then over, and they alternate. And then, are these the same size? I don't know. So then as far as the bottom strips, okay, the longest one, I'm going through right now to try to help you out. There's one that is slightly longer. That is going to be the middle strip. Then the second longest one is going to go on the bottom, I believe. I should have figured, okay, yes. And, okay. Why is that not? Okay, so one goes from his shoulder. It hits like right at that corner on the shoulder, and then just move it until it touches the edge. The one that is slightly longer than the other is going to be the middle one. And then you just kind of move it until it's edge to edge. And then same with that strip. Okay, so now I need my super, oh, right here. Actually, let's put our other pieces down. Where did I put his eyes? That's what I was looking for. Oh, it's underneath my pumpkin. So I'm going to lay out the eyes. The only reason I'm going to lay these out now is to make sure that you don't, like that you have enough room. So like the creepy, it kind of has to be close together so that it doesn't hit that strip, if that makes sense. Because it gets so narrow. Sorry. I'm surprised it took that long, to be honest. I need to start working. Okay. And then once you're happy with the placement, Charlie, no. We're going to do, I'm just going to work my way from top to bottom. So I'm going to do the first strip. And then the second on his head. Start at the neck. And then I'll do his eyes. And you can ask your kid how they want the eyes. Do they want them crossed? Do they want them going different ways? Silly. And then we'll do this strip because it starts at the shoulder, so that's pretty easy to place. Okay. And then the last one. Sorry, this is an old super glue, so I'm kind of running out. Okay, the letters, I'm going to use the same technique. I'm going to pour some on the end and then dip and dip. And then I'll just use the strip as a guideline for running them up. Oh no, I'm running out. I use my super glue for as long as I can with as many projects as I can. Just need a little bit more. There we go. Okay, then our mummy is done. Now I sent a rag with everyone, and that is an accent piece. You can do it or not, but all I did was I just tied it around my mummy's neck. Nothing special, or you can knot it or just like that. And then this is the one that I had painted for the example photo. So I glued these together so that it was like a trio. So basically I just, on the edge of the ghost, I put a line of super glue and then held it down until it was completely dry. So probably about 15 seconds. And same thing with the pumpkin. So if your kiddo wants to have them all together, then you can do that. Or if they just want 3 different decorations and they can set them up that way, then that works too. So I hope that you really enjoyed this, and please post pictures.